I tried to warn you. I tried to warn them. They didn't want to listen to me. And now, this shit has become hilarious to see. So for those who don't know what it is exactly this video may be about, if the thumbnail didn't give it away, it's about Cereedra and her value for Phanon, right? I made a video a few days ago to a week ago, I don't remember at this point, talking about how I think Cereedra is very similar to a Jiaoqiu situation, where her value is being massively overrated by the people who did pull her. However, in actuality, she is very prone to easily being power crept out of her so-called best in slot team with Phanon. Now, here's the thing. I did give a little bit of leniency when it came to Anoxa, because yes, she was actually an even worse upgrade for Anoxa pre-Cyrene. However, I do believe at this point, because of the way Cyrene's buff works and how it synergizes with Anoxa, and, you know, Cyrene also buffing Cereedra's ability even further, the Cyrene-Cereedra combo for specifically Anoxa is significantly stronger and buffs Anoxa a lot more as compared to what it is for Phanon, right? So in my opinion, she is definitely a very, very good pull alongside Cyrene when it comes to Anoxa specifically. However, when it comes to Phanon, not so much. I've been saying this since Buff Sparkle some fucking how made it throughout the entirety of the beta without getting nerfed. Buff Sparkle is a significantly stronger Amper. She fixes the entire SP economy issues that Phanon's non-Cyrene teams used to have. And then on top of this, she gives some of his rarest buffs, right, that he wants, like Res Pen, vulnerability, and she gives action advance. And now you can run double action advancer with her because they buffed her turn buff to 2 turns instead of 1. Right? So now Sunday X Sparkle double action advancer is actually incredibly good, and once again, no SP issues because of how much they buff Sparkle. So because of this, people have been misled. You need to keep in mind, Cereedra being like a 25-30% jump for Phanon teams, that was back in 3.4 when he first released, and you know what people were comparing her to? Sustainless Bronya. Right? That's the 25 to 30% damage jump. Sustainless Bronya. Buff Sparkle is a significantly stronger buffer than Bronya. So what has this led to happening? People being completely misled. And now I, on my streams, my community posts, scrolling through Twitter, going through Reddit, I'm seeing posts over and over and over again, right? From Phanon mains of people saying, yo, I kind of like fooled myself because of the amount of hype and propaganda there was here about how good and how much of a game changer Cereedra is. And it's the Jiaoqiu situation all over again. And I tried saying this. I tried warning people. Buff Sparkle is a very bad precedent, at least for Cereedra and Phanon teams, because if a character, a Harmony Generalist buffer that exists like this with what she provides, whether it be damage, her SP positivity, her synergistic action advance, if they make even just one more Buff Sparkle, we are going to be in a situation where double action advancer with Buff Sparkle and this other theoretical action advancer sustained with Phanon is competitive, if not better, than any team Cereedra can even be put in, right? So, with this being the case, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so, right? Now, does this mean Cereedra is like a brick on someone's account? Does this mean she's literally useless? No. You can always find use for characters, and here's the thing. Buff Sparkle is best in slot for Archer. Buff Sparkle is best in slot for like half the DPSs in the game. So in reality, opportunity cost, freeing up a Buff Sparkle without losing much performance, if at all, by getting a Cereedra to now fill in on a Phanon team, that has value, and I won't pretend it doesn't. especially once again with free Archer, because Archer really relies on buff Sparkle to reach his optimal performance. Without her, it's really scuffed, right? However, if you are someone who doesn't care about having to share buff Sparkle with other DPSs, and you are using buff Sparkle for your Phanon, and you thought maybe replacing buff Sparkle with Cereedra would actually be a noticeable jump, sorry to bring the bad news, right? Be the bearer of bad news. That simply is not going to be the case. One of the biggest issues when it comes to Cereedra getting power crept for Phanon specifically is the fact that so many of his attacks go unbuffed, right? So if you don't have a Cyrene on a, let's say, E0 Phanon's team, right? The thing is, you will only get 2 double meteors in the entirety of E0 Phanon's, ultimate rotation, and all other attacks, like 5 or 6 other attacks in Phanon's ultimate are not getting the max buffing that Cereedra can provide. And so this is why it is that Cereedra is so prone to getting removed from a Phanon team from characters as strong as, like, let's say, buff Sparkle. It's because Sparkle, her buffs apply to every single Phanon attack, absolutely no matter what. So yes, the double meteor is nice, and that's something no one else can provide. However, the extra damage given by the double meteor gimmick can be power crept by simply stronger buffers whose buffs apply to every attack instead of just theoretical double skills, right? So once again, I do still think Cereedra is a high value pull for Anoxa with Cyrene, and I do think there is opportunity cost in freeing up a buff Sparkle on a Phanon team by pulling Cereedra, right? And now both teams are winning, an Archer and a Phanon, if, you're in this case scenario. However, anyone genuinely expecting to replace a buff Sparkle on Phanon's team and expecting a noticeable increase in his performance, it's not happening. And yes, Cereedra is very much so, in my opinion, a Jiaoqiu situation. She is definitely, probably going to be power crept, if not in this version, in early version 5 from Phanon's team, from generalist supports just becoming significantly stronger. I mean, have you guys seen Ashvale? This guy's a fucking hunt character who automatically puts 40% defense down, has general crit damage buffing, his Lycone puts 20% more defense down, and then his E1 on average is like a 30% vulnerability on all enemies on the field. This is a hunt character, by the way, right? Not a Nihility like Cypher, who they're known for debuffing. This isn't a generalist Harmony. This is a fucking hunt sub DPS. So if Ashvale and his buffs and buff Sparkle and her buffs are anything to go off of for the future of this game, get to praying for a Cereedra Nova Flare soon. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.